Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jesse Gunkel with the very latest on the tropics. We're right back into the swing of things right now as we keep a very close eye on Delta. And here is the very latest. As of the 4 p.m. advisory, we're starting to see this system rapidly intensify. The winds have jumped to 70 miles per hour around this system. Now, again, that puts it at a pretty strong system out there. As you'll notice, again, take a look at the big picture here and you go full screen. Tropical Storm Delta winds are at 70 miles per hour out there, meaning not too far from a Category 1 hurricane. So again, it's going to slowly start to strengthen in the coming days as it eventually pushes its way into the Gulf of Mexico. It's currently moving west at 8 miles per hour. It doesn't look like much when you look at it on the satellite picture, because you can see thunderstorms extending from Jamaica and southern Cuba, extending all the way into the southern Caribbean and even into Central America. But you're kind of watching that area. You can see exactly what I'm talking about. You're watching this area right around the center over here. You can start to see, again, those thunderstorms rapidly start to bubble up around the center, and that's what we're going to watch closely, because this system is going to probably gain in strength, and it's also going to gain in size as it moves towards the northwest in the next day or 2 days. So again, that's what we're watching. Winds right now at 70. The pressure continues to drop, now sitting at 983. You can see that it does have gusts up to about 85. They just sent Hurricane Hunter aircraft through the system to find out that it is a little bit stronger outside. As you notice, again, by Tuesday, already Tuesday, Category 2 storm. So we could be seeing a Category 1 storm later on tonight, or at least very early tomorrow. By Wednesday, as it pushes between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula, you're talking a Category 3 storm. And then eventually it even strengthens to winds with 120 miles per hour in the central Gulf. Now, there is that chance that it could get to a pretty decent Category 3 before it starts the weekend. Now, this is the good news. Because of some, I would say, cooler waters near the northern Gulf Coast, kind of in this general vicinity, and because we've had a whole bunch of fronts push through recently, the waters have been a little bit cooler in this general area. So that'll help to kind of weaken the system a little bit before landfall. We're also going to run into a little bit of wind shear ahead of this system, and that will also kind of put this system on the downhill slide. However, still could be a potentially strong hurricane, Category 2, maybe a Category 1 out there when it makes landfall. And it seems like right now the consensus is that Louisiana right now is on target for this system. Could shift a few miles west to here, could shift a few miles back towards the east. But again, as the days move along, it looks like that cone's going to narrow somewhere probably right across southeastern Louisiana or central Louisiana at this point. You can see a Category 2 maybe through the entire state before weakening, moving into Mississippi. And just take a look at some of these track models. They're kind of leaning towards the southern end, so you can watch some of those green ones. You can see here what I'm talking about. You're talking more towards the southern side with all these tracks. They may actually, again, once the new track models come out a little bit later, the next run may even shift a little bit further south, could be pushing it towards the Yucatan Peninsula and then back closer to us. So again, a lot to watch, but again, models are starting to agree a little bit here. We're talking, these are hurricane models. I'm going to show you some other ones out here, and this is the European model. It hasn't been the most reliable this hurricane season, but it's something to definitely watch, because you can see how it kind of loops a little bit further west. It kind of gets nudged by that ridge towards the east, and looks like landfall could be just a hair west of Vermilion Bay, probably between there and Lake Charles, and then driving through the area, obviously putting us in that northeastern quadrant, which means we're going to get the worst of the weather. As you see here with your GPS, this one goes pretty much directly towards us, but you got to remember the stronger winds are going to be just a hair east. So some of the biggest impacts will obviously be for Grand Isle. We're talking Morgan City, home of Thibodaux, and maybe even New Orleans. But again, that potential that we could see hurricane force winds if it stays as a Category 2, Category 1 around landfall. So that's really something to watch. Now, time of arrival varies a little bit, but it seems like Friday is going to be the target for making its way to the northern Gulf Coast. Could shift up a few hours, could shift back a few hours, obviously. Need to see how this system develops, because again, if it becomes a much larger system, a major hurricane in the central Gulf, well, again, I think that forward speed is going to slow down just a little bit. So again, looks like Friday right now, but already start those preparation plans as we move forward. And just to give you an idea, you're taking a look at Friday, going into Saturday. Chance, again, the likelihood for tropical storm force winds very high at this point, and even the chance for maybe even some hurricane force winds. So kind of initiate some of those forecasts a little bit later on, just as soon as we get closer to the system, because you got to remember that we are a few days out currently at this point. So again, you can see that there's a lot of dry air. We've got a gorgeous forecast so far over the weekend, but we've got, again, some of that dry air in the mix, and that's one of the reasons why Gamma has been destroyed. Obviously, it's just all that dry air and wind shear ahead of it. You can see it right here, and I'll kind of point it out to you. It's just been meandering right across areas north of the Yucatan Peninsula. Eventually it's kind of float, but here what I do see it is kind of floating back into land and most likely dissipating possibly tonight or at least early tomorrow. And again, as you see here, it's running into a little bit of dry air temporarily, but I do see it maybe wobbling a little bit before pushing its way back into, say, the far northwestern Caribbean, and maybe even moving and stepping into the Gulf of Mexico. So again, there is a time frame where rapid intensification is possible. We're talking the next 2 days here, so we're going to have to really see how quickly this system elevates. But further inland, there's a lot of good things for us. And again, you see that dry air, and eventually there's going to be another deep trough digging in here, which is going to make this system take more of that northeastern turn, and really what's going to kind of accelerate this system further inland as it kind of drives straight back up into the States. So that's one of the reasons why this system is not going to park itself over us. That's good. And also one of the reasons why, yeah, we're going to see it kind of most likely veer a little bit further east at some point during its life cycle. So you see that, and I just want to show you estimates. Again, this is early estimates. You got to remember that this system is still sitting in our Caribbean at this point. So again, a lot can change in the coming days. Again, they may shift it a little bit further west, obviously following the European track a little bit more, and just since the consensus is kind of leading in that majority. So right now we're going to go about 2 to 3. Locally, some heavier amounts, and you can see how the threat for rain quickly climbs going into Thursday and Friday, and potentially even early on Saturday before the system kind of races out of the state and into Mississippi and Alabama. So just want to show you we've got a lot of hurricane season left. Always be prepared. Always have a game plan. Make sure that you're following trusted sources out there. Make sure that you download our free app. It's got everything that you need. Go to beourproud.com also for the very latest. And we're going to continue to guide you through the next couple days because, again, this has given us a little bit of lead time. It currently sits in the Caribbean. Eventually, by the time we get to, and I'll show you one more time just to give you more of a timeline. We'll step through it one more time. Wednesday, it looks like it could be entering the southern Gulf, potentially as a Category 3. This is the latest forecast, the 4 p.m. from the National Hurricane Center. By the time we get to Thursday, Category 3 still, starting to make that northward turn a little bit closer towards Louisiana. And then you see here Category 2. Right now they're talking late on Friday and then driving through the area, most likely us, probably maybe around 6, 7 o'clock at night, and then driving its way up towards the northeast. But again, that can change. I expect the forecast to change multiple times in the coming days, possibly intensity-wise, possibly track-wise, maybe rainfall estimates. So the key, all you got to do at this point is have a game plan, talk to your kids, make sure they're ready to go, and continue to follow the latest alerts as we get closer. Thanks again for joining us this afternoon, and we'll have more updates coming up later on tonight.